In this lesson, we're going to look at another type of loop in Ruby called an iterator-based loop, or just plain an iterator. Iterators allow us to traverse a range and do something a certain number of times within a range. It's probably easier to demonstrate iterators than try to describe them, so let's go ahead and get started with the Ruby program. This first example is going to be using something called a times iterator. Here we're going to print hello world 5 times. So the iterator times knows to start at 1 and go all the way through 5. And for each iteration, perform the tasks inside the do. So let's see how that works. So you see we have hello world 5 times. And we might want to have a new line added to that, like so. Let's try it again. So that's our first iterator, the times iterator. Let's look at another iterator type. Let me comment out this code first. This next iterator is called up to. And again, it's probably easier to show you how it works than describe it first. Let me give it a shot. Now let's run the program and I'll come back and talk about what it does. Obviously, it prints the numbers 1 through 10. And the way it does that is, again, we have an iterator called up to that essentially is saying from 1 to 10, do, with x being a variable that stores each value of the number from 1 up to 10. So if we wanted to do something like sum the first 10 integers, we could do it like so. Set sum equal to 0. Inside the body of the iterator, the loop, add x to sum, and then at the end we can print out the sum. Let's clear the screen and then run the program. And there's our sum 55. Now, you may or may not consider this easier to understand than a while loop. And if you come from another programming language, I was almost said traditional, and that's really not a good way to say it. If you come from another language that uses just whiles and fors as the primary loop types, then this may seem hard to understand. But it does provide some flexibility that while loops and for loops don't provide. So far, the two iterator types we've seen have iterated over a range, stopping at each number in the range. We can also modify that using an iterator called step. Let me first comment out this program, then I'll show you how to use step. All right, let's run the program first, and we'll come back and talk about its behavior. So you notice that we're printing the even numbers through 100, going by 2s. Let's go back and look at the code. Here we're saying from 0 to 100, step 2, store each successive value in x, and then print x with a space. So we had 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, ... 98, 100. Here's another example where we can print the sum of the odd numbers from 1 to 10. Let's change 100 to 10. Go by 2s. Let's save our program. Clear the screen and run it. And so the sum of the odd integers from 1 to 10 is 25. So here we've looked at 3 types of iterator loops: times, up to, and step, which provide a nice, concise way to perform loops without using the traditional while loop. as a means of having our program repeat a specified set of instructions. And that wraps up this lesson on iterators. And now we're going to move on to the next lesson where we're going to talk about yet another type of loop, the for-in loop, which is very similar to an iterator-based loop that we use with data already stored in a collection, such as data in some type of list.